Kazuhito Harumi, a teenage boy, is deeply passionate about books, especially those authored by his favorite writer, Shinobu Akiyama. One day, Kazuhito is shot dead in a cafe during a robbery after protecting a customer. To his surprise, Kazuhito is later reincarnated as a dachshund dog and was brought to a pet shop. Not being able to read a book after a week, Harumi is later adopted by a mysterious girl named Kirihime Natsuno, which Kazuhito later discovers as the customer he protected during the robbery and the real name of Shinobu Akiyama. While under Kirihime's care, Kazuhito came to know of Kirihime's sadistic side and at the same time her positive traits, as well as being a martial artist. After contacting someone asking for Kazuhito's wallet and address, Kirihime, who along with Kazuhito heads to the latter's former apartment. After being teased of wearing a pet collar and scaring and ignoring passersby respectively, Kirihime and Kazuhito arrive at the latter's former apartment. Kirihime deduced that the man who killed Kazuhito is currently hiding at the latter's own apartment. The latter is proven true and consequently Kirihime and Kazuhito give chase to Kazuhito's killer until they reach a skyway where the killer reveals to have read all of Kirihime's books which lead him to become its fanatic. After a farce, the killer was on the verge of falling to his death where Kirihime tells Kazuhito to exact his revenge to his killer. However, Kazuhito pulls the man down, saving him, stating that he won't kill him since he is also a book lover and if otherwise would result only to tarnishing Kazuhito's way of ever reading again. Kirihime, however, is against this as she felt guilty for being the reason of Kazuhito's death. As Kazuhito consoles Kirihime by telling her that he is aware of Kirihime's true self after reading her books, Kirihime breaks into tears. Afterwards, Kirihime began to harbor feelings for Kazuhito. Kazuhito dreams about his sister Madoka, but too much of Natsuno means he sees her in his dreams too. What a nightmare. Waking up, he sees an unfamiliar woman sitting by the table. This zombie woman, Suzuna Hiragi, seems able to hear what Kazuhito says, or so he thinks, not, because she starts acting in some fantasy delusion of taking over the underworld. When Natsuno returns, Kazuhito learns Suzuna is her editor. Judging from her latest writing, Suzuna gives the thumbs down. Natsuno is recently in a slump. She is suggested to do different things for a change but steps on a landmine when she suggested breast implants. Doesn't Suzuna has the biggest boobs and is flaunting it. Natsuno almost cuts her but slightly rips her shirt. Suzuna is impressed and loves it. I guess this proves she is a masochist and looks forward to more of it next time. This isn't a beauty salon for your information. As she leaves, she warns about the recent serial slasher case and to be careful. Later Kazuhito asks Natsuno about her slump. It started about 3 months ago. That's like when he came into her life as a dog, right? Oh no, don't find this as an excuse to blame and cut him up. Suzuna returns another day to check up on her. She is still in a slump. Suzuna also has more information about the slasher and other signs. Natsuno suggests she be the bait herself and draw out the slasher. If she captures it, she'll reward her with abuse. Right away, she'll do it. Maybe that's just a plot to send her away forever. So in the meantime, Natsuno and the dog will look for their own clues. Asking around, it seems that the victims had one thing in common. They were reading a book from Shinobu. Along the way, it's that annoying Maxi again. Taking a closer look, Kazuhito remembers and recognizes her as a famous idol-cum-author. Together with Shinobu and Momoji Himehagi, the trio are Japan's youngest best-selling authors. Natsuno isn't impressed how her identity is known and doesn't have time to entertain her whatsoever. Maxi won't lose out and draws her attention by insulting her flat chests. That does it. Natsuno will shave her head and make her shine more while Maxi will polish her breasts till it becomes really flat. Thankfully World War didn't start because her SPs whisk her away to get another job done. As Natsuno and Kazuhito stop and think about the clues, they hear Afro Guy's scream. He has become another victim of the slasher, although a portion of his afro was just cut. Natsuno chases after a suspicious hooded character. Kazuhito's doggy sense leads him to the alley whereby he spots a book of Shinobu. He is obviously walking into an obvious cheap trap. He dreams about Madoka, the time she somewhat finished a volume of Shinobu's Deadly Sins series. She doesn't seem all enthusiastic like Kazuhito, asking what was her favorite this, favorite that in the book. Shinobu that great, huh? The next time he wakes up, he realizes he is back in his own Sumiya Hall room all tied up. To his surprise, Madoka appears before him and is relieved that she has found him. As Kirihime loses the supposed slasher during her pursuit, Madoka acts strangely towards Kazuhito, whom he initially believed that she is aware that he is currently a dog but actually isn't, as shown that she can't actually understand Kazuhito in his current dog form but nonetheless considered him as her late brother. While Madoka leaves temporarily, Kirihime takes Kazuhito back to her home and interrogates him about his abductee. After being convinced Madoka is really his sister, Kirihime shows Kazuhito an item the supposed slasher dropped during the pursuit, Shinobu Akiyama's book, as Kazuhito deduces that the slasher holds a grudge against its author, which Kirihime suspects to be Madoka, much to Kazuhito's disbelief. The next day the duo continues their investigation and Kirihime gets notified by Suzuna that someone has been shredding her books, which reveals to be Madoka. Back at her home, Kirihime apprises that the cause of Madoka's grievance were her books, which the latter thought to be the cause of her late brother's death. After Kirihime agreed in helping Kazuhito in confronting his sister, Madoka breaches into Kirihime's home and gets a hold of Kazuhito. Facing the author whom she thought to have caused his brother's death, Kirihime questions Madoka if her recent actions would have made her brother happy knowing that he is one of her readers. Afterwards, Madoka jumps off Kirihime's apartment building with Kazuhito in tow. After lamenting on her actions, Madoka and Kirihime have a duel using their respective weapons, Madoka's multi-purpose electrical knife, Tuna Eater, and Kirihime's large pair of shears, Hasajiro. With Kirihime gaining the upper hand, Madoka transforms her knife into a cannon and shoots Kirihime. However, Kirihime was able to deflect the bullet and Madoka realizes her defeat and the two call a truce, becoming friends. Surprisingly, Kirihime and Kazuhito discover that Madoka isn't the rumored slasher. Instead, the one behind the incidents was Kirihime's editor, Suzuna, who claimed that she did it all for Kirihime's sake so that she can overcome her writer's block. Kirihime then appears, who was already aware of Suzuna's plans from the start and states that she had already overcome her slump, as shown as she throws multiple written drafts into the air as Suzuna gathers them while sitting. After warning Suzuna of acting nice towards her from then onwards, the next day, Kirihime bids Madoka farewell and Suzuna reveals that she had already exterminated the real slasher prior to Kirihime and Kazuhito's investigation, much to the former's frustration. Kazuhito learns from Yaoi, the younger sister of the cashier of Honda Booksellers, Sakura, that they might be leaving the city. In her apartment, Kazuhito shares to Kirihime the story of his first visit to the said bookstore, which eventually ends in Kazuhito being tormented by Kirihime for calling her flat-chested numerous times while she was asleep. Back in the bookstore, Yaoi storms off with Kazuhito where he learns that the bookstore is indeed closing. In hopes of saving the bookstore, Yaoi and Kazuhito publicize the bookstore around the area while stumbling on Maxi. Later, while trying to cheer up a weeping Yaoi, Kirihime arrives and after threatening Kazuhito, tells Yaoi to head home, which the latter denies, fearing her sister will hate her. But nonetheless, Yaoi returns to the bookstore and apologizes to her sister. Sakura then denies the fact that their store is closing as Yaoi misinterpreted it due to seeing her parents fighting frequently. After Sakura reassures Yaoi that they won't get separated, Kazuhito felt grateful for Kirihime for adopting him, which is immediately shattered when Kirihime again teases Kazuhito into punishing him. Kazuhito is told by Kirihime to help look for her lost bra. After Kirihime punishes Kazuhito for trying to get her scent, Suzuna joins the search as Kazuhito ditches to read more books. When he was found out by Kirihime, the two argue and Kazuhito accidentally discovers Kirihime's kit of breast accession, leading him to get punished by Kirihime. As Kirihime and Suzuna continue their search, Kazuhito finds Kirihime's bra under his blanket. Fearing that Kirihime may torture him, Kazuhito plans to dispose Kirihime's bra. Meanwhile, Kirihime searches for Kazuhito as she senses someone stalking her. Later on, Kazuhito finds a maid performing solely while he was trying to bury Kirihime's bra. Eventually, the maid discovers Kazuhito and attempts to kill him. By passing into a busy street, Kazuhito is nearly hit by a truck until Kirihime saves him in the nick of time. As Kirihime and the maid draw out their blades, their fight is postponed after the maid hears someone selling roasted potatoes. Afterwards, Kirihime finds her lost bra on Kazuhito. Seeing a miniature dog design on her bra, Kazuhito deduces that Kirihime loved dogs. Trying to act dog-like, Kazuhito instead got chased by Kirihime as someone continues to stalk the latter. Kirihime and Kazuhito arrive in a hot spring inn, as well as Madoka, whom Kirihime invited. After settling in, Kirihime felt frustrated as she is constantly hindered by her acquaintances in her advances to Kazuhito as well as the latter's ignorance towards them. As the two head out, Kirihime went to buy a whetstone and later took a picture with Kazuhito. Upon returning, Kazuhito notices that the personnel in the inn acting strangely around them. While sharpening her shears in the hot springs, Kazuhito appears and warns Kirihime of a horde of hypnotized helpers wielding blades. Kirihime identifies the horde as the same group who attacked her previously. Afterwards, Kazuhito buys Kirihime time to sharpen her shears until Madoka arrives and joins in the fray. With her shears perfectly sharpened, Kirihime and Madoka engage at the horde as Kirihime delivers a fatal blow after seeing her love guide book being stepped and crumpled by the horde. The following day, the inn was put to a close as Kirihime remarks that she and Kazuhito will again return to the inn someday, alone. As she is continued to be bothered by the mobs and her stalker, Kirihime and Kazuhito found an extra book in the former's library, a book of an author named Hadaru Fujimaki. After examining the book, Kazuhito notices its resemblance to Kirihime's book. Trying to gain more information, Kirihime summons Suzuna where they learn of the author's account sans its actual name. Kirihime then decides to meet the author herself, and while passing in an abandoned warehouse, Kirihime and Kazuhito is again faced by the same horde that attacked them in the inn. When Kazuhito came to, he and Kirihime is faced by the latter's stalker and Hadaru Fujimaki's father, Shuzen Osawa, the one responsible for sneaking the book into her apartment. While being interrogated, Shuzen reveals that he was only following her daughter's task of bringing her book to Kirihime, despite his oppositions. By a slip of tongue, the duo realizes that Shuzen isn't the one behind the mob incidents. In an address given to them by Shuzen, Kirihime and Kazuhito head to the latter's high school to meet with Hadaru Fujimaki. While Kazuhito is in the library, he is met by Hami Osawa. Prior to the event of his death, Kazuhito once read a manuscript of a timid Hami Osawa. With Kazuhito's encouragement, Hami promises to become an author using the manuscript Kazuhito read. Back in the present, Kazuhito realizes that Hami is Hadaru Fujimaki, an anagrammatic pen name derived from Kazuhito's own name. In order to fulfill her promise with Kazuhito, Hami intends to defeat Kirihime. Through the school's PA system, Hami faces Kirihime. By not using violence as a means to settle their challenge, Kirihime and Hami agrees to have a writing contest. The winner is determined to be the one who first finished writing a 100-page manuscript. To Hami's surprise, Kirihime was able to withstand all her fallacious techniques and is still ahead in their challenge. However, Hami uses her ultimate technique, Bryonek, where the readers do the author's bidding through reading certain keywords in a book. Unfortunately for Hami, Kirihime was still able to win the challenge after using her mouth to finish writing. After their contest, Kirihime encourages Hami to continue writing using her own strength, and in finishing the manuscript Kazuhito read. With this, Hami seemingly became Kirihime's pupil in writing as Kirihime uses Bryonek against Kazuhito to lunge at her. Madoka is again to cook curry for Kazuhito, much to his fright. But after sniffing Madoka's cooking, Kazuhito felt at ease for the time being until he found out that Madoka is actually cooking a blue-colored curry and escapes to Honda booksellers. There, Kazuhito came to admire Sakura's way of satisfying her customers by supplying them with books of their tastes. Suddenly, Maxie's men appear and purchased all of Momiji Hagi and Shinobu Akiyama's book from the bookstore. Afterwards, Kazuhito is again chased by the singing maid, Moraibe Sachai, who also serves Momiji Hagi. Kirihime then appears to shield Kazuhito, and as they prepare to fight, Maxie interferes by challenging Kirihime in a legendary writing contest known as a 9-story tower writing contest. However, Maxie is again dragged by his men and their contest is cancelled, much to Kazuhito's dismay. Later, at the bookstore, Hami notifies Sakura that she had made an important decision as an author, as well as Madoka's enrollment to the former's school, and adds that she will continue the legacy of her late brother. Proud of his sister's development, Kazuhito agrees to eat Madoka's curry nevertheless. In the end, Kazuhito forced himself to eat Madoka's rainbow-colored curry. After being ignored on her way in, Suzuna suggests if Kirihime will now make her public debut and discuss other future plans. Additionally, Suzuna prepares Kirihime's wardrobe for her book signing after her debut. After experimenting with some clothes, Madoka and Hami join in the costume play as well. Afterwards, as Suzuna was about to prepare to have Kirihime wear a school swimsuit, Kirihime cuts her off instead, much to her excitement. Eventually, Suzuna coerces her way to booze Kirihime with alcohol in hopes to improve her image, or rather, to have her punish her more. Consequently, Kirihime's personality alters to a kinder and warmer one, much to the horror of both Kazuhito and Suzuna. After Kazuhito tells Kirihime that breast size doesn't matter, Kirihime took the latter as a proposal from Kazuhito as Kirihime fantasized about their marriage ceremony, honeymoon, and the future of their children, much to Kazuhito's annoyance. Later, as Kirihime intends to sleep together with Kazuhito, Kirihime vomits onto Kazuhito. The following day, Kirihime returns to normal as she offers to bathe Kazuhito off, adding that she always acts kind to him. In the epilogue, while asking for his thoughts on her book, Kazuhito instead reprimands Kirihime for not writing the final volume of his favorite series, which lead Kirihime to chase Kazuhito once more. This is the end of my video, so please watching all of my anime recap series. Thanks for watching.